So Kenny's back.
Kenny's back.
And he's still not sounding the greatest.
Oh, he sounds amazing. Hi, my name's Kenneth, and this is my normal sound.
Are you actually sick, or do you have like allergies or something?
Yeah, I'm super contagious, and I definitely shouldn't be left in rooms with people. I'm making podcasts with them.
Crap.
No, it's like, I don't know, head cold, I guess.
Kind of get this every year.
Mixed with because I have bad allergies. If I'm actually allergic to almost every tree that grows in Michigan. Little proud fact. little Kenny fun fact. And it's very annoying to live here sometimes.
I bet you would have an allergy anywhere you go, though.
I would. When I was in Texas at the beginning of this year for a week, there was one, like a dogwood or something like that. There's one tree that grew there that was just the worst.
That sounds rough. I'm sorry.
You got a smile out of me, but I'm really forcing myself not to laugh.
I thought you would have.
At your dumb joke. Sounds like you're allergic to the bark.
Oh, that was actually better.
That was a better one.
That was better.
We both laughed at it.
Glad to have you back.
I'm really glad to be back.
Here at the TAE studios.
From what I've heard, your recording was just awful.
It was pretty bad.
Just
2.5 minutes of me trying to get more followers.
Have you apologizing? Yeah. That was funny.
It was bad.
No, I'm joking. You know I love you.
Yes, all right. So this week is our recap of Super Mario Odyssey.
Recappy.
So it's been 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks that it's been out. We've both finished the storyline of the game.
What a delicious storyline.
I actually really liked it. It's a very classic Mario storyline. It's very cutesy, but still, it's good for the whole family, but still interesting. You never feel like, oh, this is really lame. It's actually good. You know
the classic Mario storylines. Where Mario, he's home and his dad comes up and he's like, oh, you need to do your homework. And he's like, I don't want to. And he storms out. I think that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes, that's a different franchise. Mario. All right, so we may as well say right now, there's going to be spoilers in this episode. It's a recap of the whole game and the story. We're going to spoil some stuff people? Because there's some points that I want to make.
Anytime you hear this, it means spoiler. Spoiler coming up.
You're just going to be doing that the whole time.
Well, I'm going to do it's like a news broadcast. Oh, the latest news today.
Nope.
No?
So,
okay.
At the end, or actually, rather, at the first end, because there's a first ending.
I don't know if you heard the spoiler sound.
So at the first ending, basically, it made it feel like Peach led Bowser on, too.
What?
Like the way the story played out, like at the end where Mario wins, right? So this is the end.
Yeah.
And they're walking away, and Peach goes off on her own.
Yeah.
And Bowser's like, take me. And Mario's like, no, take me. And they're fighting for her. So obviously Bowser has an ultimate affection for her.
I don't think that part of the story had anything other to do with Nintendo just trying to show people that Peach is an independent woman. She don't need no man or giant turtle person.
Bowser wanted to marry her, so I mean it's reinforcing that idea.
Well, I mean, like he's the Animal Kingdom version of a pervert, though. I mean, he keeps stealing this chick.
That is a good point.
You think he would have gone to jail by now, not be ruling his own Bowser Kingdom or whatever it is.
Yeah, but who's going to put him in jail? Toad?
Yeah,
Toad's not going to do that.
What are the Goombas going to do without a leader?
Yeah.
You think they can organize? You think they have a civil society without Bowser? No. What?
I was going to say, I feel like the Goombas, if they had to go somewhere else, they could hop over to like the Ronald McDonald Kingdom. They would fit in perfectly with the Fry Guys.
I was going to say they would just be hamburger buns.
They do look like weird hamburger buns.
So are they mushrooms?
I don't know what they are.
Like think about the first Mario game. Mm-hmm. Okay, you had mushrooms and you had Goombas. Mm-hmm. Was the whole game, like when they were first introduced, was the whole game just centered around like mushrooms?
I'm pretty sure it was a drug trip. Yeah.
I don't think they did. They didn't do that on purpose.
It sure seems like it.
Because they put the game out with the console, the NES. And then they, And then they put it in the toy section when it first came out. So they knew that it was for kids.
Yeah, there really wasn't an electronic section back then.
So let's think for a moment. There's lots of different turtles. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different types of mushrooms. I'm guaranteeing that the Goomba is a mushroom. It's not like a squirrel or something like that because there's no tail.
Yeah.
It's just a furry fungus, furry brown mushroom.
So, all right. So, I mean, that's all the storyline stuff. So, I guess
that's all of it.
that's everything. That's all we got. Recap over the story. I think overall it was a really good story. I did like some of the throwbacks to some of the other games in the franchise. I think we already talked about like the new Donk City thing. Just some other throwbacks to the gameplay. I was very impressed by the game. I think it's gonna have a really good like playability and replayability. Like I feel like I'll be able to pick that game up in like a year, and enjoy it again thoroughly.
You know what the Switch is starting to remind me of is when the N64 came out when I was a kid. You know that it had a lot of controller ports, so you can play with a lot of people, but it also I don't know. There's just something about back then when it came out. It wasn't a console you played by yourself. Like you played with your friends. Like when the first 3D Zelda came out, like you wanted to like show it to your friends and you wanted to play with them. You wanted to talk about discoveries with them. Same as like Super Mario 64. So the Switch to me seems like a natural homage to the N64 in a lot of ways. I have no idea why. I don't know why it feels that way. No other Nintendo consoles felt that way to me. You know, the reason why I bring that up is that I love. There's spoiler. That's probably really loud. I'm sorry. The reason why I'm bringing up the Super Mario 64 thing in particular is there's a lot of really cool. I don't know what the right word is. An homage or. What would you do, like the stuff that you could do with Super Mario 64? And they're like, they have the Mushroom Kingdom. You can actually be the polygonal Mario from Super Mario 64.
They're throwbacks.
But they do so much more than a throwback, though. It's like a loving little like you know what? We love this game so much. We just wanted to like bring it back here in a little way that we can.
Well, yeah, because there's the whole. Well, like you said, there's the N64 Mario suit, which makes him look like the old polygon Mario,
which I love seeing,
which is really cool.
In a fully like modern 3D rendered world is really funny.
Well, because like I mean,
it's my favorite suit right now.
It's the number of polygons is like 3 in that Mario, so it is really funny when you have this beautifully rendered world to see that.
Were you saying in one of our podcasts that the 3D rendered Mario from Super Mario 64 was the weirdest one for you?
Yeah, because like,
then we get to see him again.
We actually get to see him again. So yeah, it was kind of nice to see that. But
I disagree. I love it. I don't know. It's
not that I don't like it. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
So
his head is a lot. His head is a lot larger, is what I've learned. Back in the day.
Yeah.
Like it was like the difference between seeing the 64 head and the modern day Mario head. It looked like a balloon back then. It was kind of interesting.
And then they also did the throwback of when you enter the castle, if you stand in the sun and you look up into the actual sun, you get a moon out of that. Which back in N64, the Super Mario 64, you would get a star.
Well, no, you got a star.
Oh yeah, because the Mushroom Kingdom had stars, not moons.
So there's this really cool thing once you finish the game.
Spoilers.
That's going to get annoying.
Yes, it is.
Your sister, you're already annoyed. I see the look on your face.
It's very annoying.
There's this really cool thing at the end of the game where once you beat it, like beat Bowser and everything, rescue Peach. Number one, like the thing with the game that's cool is that you're traveling all around the world. So like you're going to these quote unquote kingdoms, but it's like here's an ocean kingdom, here's a snow kingdom, here's a city kingdom, things like that. It's pretty neat. You even go to the moon at one point, which is pretty cool. I know. I just want to pretty.
And the dark side of it.
Oh, come! You gotta let me do the thing first, Brandon.
You were already like covered. You were covered.
I know you have to do that in the middle of a spoiler. Anyways, so it's pretty cool. After you beat the game, Peach will she kind of like travels around the world and you get to kind of visit it, but it's like you're on vacation with her a little bit. It's kind of neat. But what's really awesome is that once you beat it, the very last kingdom, I mean there's a couple others parts of the moon, but what I would call the very last kingdom is the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's literally like a redesigned version of the open world area from Super Mario 64. But it's got like new we talked in the last one, they don't call it stars. In this one, they call it power moons. It's got power moons all over the place that you can collect, and so many different like puzzles for you to solve and things like that. It is. And it's just wonderful. It's my favorite kingdom. I loved it.
Well, they did the throwback too to the paintings that you jump in, which I thought was really neat.
I saw that.
And then they also had the courtyard was fully there. Where in N64 there was a boo out there, which I thought was really cool.
So is that area, if you played the original game, where it was in the castle, if you got the stairwell for the first time, if you went down the stairwell, didn't go to the basement, but you went down the stairwell, there was a courtyard that had like a bunch of trees in it and a little fountain in the center. And it was a very small area. They actually brought that area back, but not as a fully like 3D rendered modern day, like the actual.
It was the actual area,
Nintendo 64 style area, and then they let you do like a couple puzzles in it. That was it. That was probably my favorite little area.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch.
It makes me wish that they did a full remake of Super Mario 64 with modern graphics. Like I know, when's the last time you played Super Mario 64?
Couple years. I don't know. I mean, I have it too. It's been a while.
I played it, I want to say last year sometime. I played an emulator. Don't tell anybody. But I played an emulator for it. And you know what? It doesn't... I want to be careful because I still love the game. It doesn't hold up that well. And I think we talked about that. That's the same for a lot of Nintendo 64 games. But as far as like not only the gameplay, but the looks, the controls for Mario, and granted, it's the first 3D platformer to ever get it right.
Right.
And which now, it's the quintessential platformer. Every other one is based off of it. But it would be neat to bring it back, just as a little remake, tighten up those controls like you did with Super Mario Odyssey.
Yep.
And then maybe even reimagine some of the levels a little bit, and make it a little bit, I don't want to say tougher, but a little bit more of that Odyssey feel, where there's a little bit of, I don't know. When you play a Mario game for the first time, when it's brand new, it's like there's a little magic and wonder when you jump in.
Yeah, totally.
Where there's so many secrets that you can find. Like you might even remember like going to school. Like that was my favorite thing, was going to school and talking about with the other guys and just finding out like the secrets that they found, and they would give you their secret sauce to finding it too. And
we didn't really have the internet like as prevalent back then either. So like there was a lot of discovery. You had to talk to your friends if you wanted to find some secrets.
Well, that's like every once in a while I like to watch somebody, like I mentioned, I like to watch people play games. So I'm one of those people where I'll watch people play video games on YouTube. Like I actually like that. So far, everyone that I've seen, the first episode that they played Super Mario Odyssey, they've encouraged their watchers, like if you haven't played the game yet, do not watch us play. Like we want you to like see everything for the first time, experience it all, like unfiltered. Now I've seen a lot of stuff before the game came out. Like not only like reviews, but also just seen footage of what it's like. And your son, we talked about, did too. You were very abstinent. Like you were very much like, I do not want to know a single thing about this game. Like, so tell me like maybe even one of the first things that you've noticed, or the first thing that happened in the game that like surprised you, or just, put, you know what I mean when I say with the Mario game, just put that smile on your face. Like, oh, that's clever.
Well, honestly, like the only thing I really saw before playing the game was I want to say it was the original announcement with the official Switch launch announcement. Was like the only real thing I saw. So a lot of the gameplay stuff was like new to me, because I mean, yeah, they showed it in the demo, but it wasn't really a true played demo. It was all pre-set up. So like a lot of the Cappy stuff I thought was really cool, like being able to throw it onto enemies and things like that. I mean, that whole gameplay element was just like really fascinating, and I liked it a lot. I also, because I didn't really see anything except for they demoed what did they demo at that? They demoed the New Donk City a little bit. There was one of the T-Rex things they showed off. And then they showed that there was going to be a wedding theme, but that was it. It was actually, they didn't even really show that it was wedding.
They pretty much didn't really say a lot after that, though.
No.
You almost could. Did you also see like Cappy and you met him and you also met like how he can quote unquote capture things?
They talked about it, but that dynamic wasn't even really introduced very much. So
because if you've seen all that, you've almost seen everything that they've announced. They were very hush hush about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you my moment, like my very first, like, just like childlike smile that I got on my face was the first time that you captured something. They have you and you're like this pond and there's a bunch of frogs around and it's very clear you're supposed to throw your hat at these frogs. And so I did, and you captured the frog for the first time. And they went over this whole cinematic of Mario, like, slipping through the frog's mind, and like you actually saw like pictures of like real life frogs, which was funny. And then at the last moment, they show a first person view of you as Mario inside the frog's head, looking down at your frog cans. And it was Mario when, like, you know, he talks in the games, he's like, ah, you know, and things like that. It was when he went down. And it actually wasn't something I saw that made me smile. It was just Mario making this sound. Like just him as a frog, just saying like an Italian ribbit.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It made me smile. It was very funny. It was clever.
So speaking of Cappy and the general gameplay dynamic, I know we talked about this the last time we talked about Odyssey, but as far as like the actual gameplay, now that I've put quite a bit of time into it, I'll say that it holds up pretty well. So the only thing that I think that kind of throws me off, because I'm very much a pro controller guy now whenever I'm like sitting and playing the game. It's not as good with the motion controls. The ideal gameplay is to have the two Joy-Con, one in each hand, so disconnected in your hands. I noticed
exactly what you're saying.
Is the best way to play the game. I'll say the worst way to play is sadly in the tablet mode, the actual portable mode.
You say
it's
worst.
still good. It's the worst out of them. It's not bad.
I mean,
it's just not
worst,
as good.
It's 100% not only doable, but you'll enjoy the game.
Right. There are a couple areas that, because you have to rely on the motion controls more, it gets tricky.
What do you rely on the motion controls for?
There is, the one that comes to mind, and I feel like I mentioned this before. The one that comes to mind is in the lake world, or the beach world, whatever one that is. Mm-hmm. Because it'd be the beach world. There's a boss that you have to fight, and you have to capture these little squid guys to properly spray the water from those squid guys to defeat the main boss. You have to shake. And
are you talking about doing where you shake and it spits all around you?
Yeah.
I never once used that on the boss.
No?
On that boss. No.
Oh, that's
how
what
did you beat him?
I would fly up, I'd go over him, and I'd spin, and I'd go whoosh, and I'd get him.
I didn't do that.
I found that to be the most effective way to get him.
I would fly up above him, just like you did, but then I would take myself out of the squid, and I'd stomp on him.
Oh, no. I stayed as the squid.
I think that's how you were supposed to. You probably did a little different way. Yeah. I think that's why you were supposed to do it, because he had his markings on his head.
Look like a pound symbol.
Were the same symbol as those little things that you're supposed to stomp on. Oh. I did that, and it was real quick.
No, see, I didn't take it that way. I sprayed him with water.
They make it so that what I notice is that the motion controls can help you do extra things, but you do not need them.
Yeah, and I was watching some other YouTube gameplay videos, and some people were saying that there's ways to trigger the motion control actions without motion control. So, for example, as you're learning the game, one of them is to throw Cappy around you in a circle. So he spins around you, which you would normally believe you shake it to the left or something like that to do it. They say that one way to do it without any motion control is with your left stick, spin it, and then throw Cappy. And apparently it does the same thing.
Yes,
but
it does.
It's not listed in the official moves list in the game.
But it also makes Mario spin around too.
Right, but then Mario spins. So
that's really, I only use two things with motion controls regularly. And it wasn't enough where I couldn't do it with a Pro controller. And even then I could do the same move. That's the great thing, is they add those same motion controls to the Pro controller too.
Right.
Number one, was spinning the cap. If you take your two Joy-Cons and you just quickly slice them to the left, then Mario will throw out Cappy and it'll do this really cool spin around him. So it's like an area of effect spin. Mm-hmm. The other one that I used was the homing cap. So if you throw Cappy and then you shake the Joy-Con, then it'll if you missed, like say you tried to hit something and you missed with Cappy, that would automatically home to whatever you were trying to do, which you can use the motion controls on your Pro Controller for that. So I didn't have a problem with that. And I'm starting to use a Pro Controller a little bit more now that I've been through it. Mm-hmm. My brother, though, I remember watching him for the first time watching him play. He was playing it in portable mode with the Joy-Cons attached to the console. And I remember him trying to do the homing mode and he was just shaking the whole console like vigorously. And I just remember like looking at them do that, and I'm like, that doesn't look. But he was smiling. He was having a good time.
Yeah,
just shaking the whole.
That's what I noticed.
Tablet.
Because I tried doing that, the spin moves and stuff, and when you're in the portable mode, it's just you shake the whole console, which makes it really hard to see what you're actually doing because you're shaking the thing.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I mean, it's not bad, right? The rest of the normal gameplay is perfect for the portable mode, and I've logged probably half the time I have in it in the portable mode.
Problem is that there was very limited motion control in Breath of the Wild, mm-hmm. so it was a perfect game for the Pro Controller.
Right.
I mean, so is like Splatoon, like the first third-person shooters, things like that.
Yeah, honestly, I'd say that Odyssey is probably the first game that like really takes advantage of the motion controls beyond like 1-2 switch and stuff. I mean, like an actual like integrated gameplay. It is taking advantage of the
which we knew they would, only because that's the thing about when a Mario game comes out, Nintendo likes to pull off all the, like it likes to show off. I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it is showing off, but I'll say that they use that game to teach people how to use the Switch, which I will say that's one thing I noticed, like as I was playing, I would say that Odyssey is probably one of the best games, not just Mario games, but one of the best games on teaching you how to play the game. For a couple reasons. One, the levels are super well designed so that like when you walk into an area and you see something new, they set up a couple for you to kind of play and get used to like how to interact with it.
Yeah.
So the example that comes to mind for me is like when you have Cappy for the first time, there's these like pegs in the ground that you throw Cappy against and it pulls them out of the ground. They give you a couple of those right up front to teach you later to throw Cappy on everything.
Yeah.
Which they did that all throughout the game. So next time you're playing, like just pay attention to the beginnings of levels. They teach you how to play without being in your face about it.
Which fixes one of the things that I hate when I see in a video game. And to me, it's a sign of a video game that's not very well thought out. Mm-hmm. At least when you do a single player mode. Mm-hmm. If you ever start a game and the first thing you see is a picture of the controller with all of the buttons that show you what all of the buttons do with a little like graph on everything. The last time I've seen it the worst was when I played, I think it was Final Fantasy 13, where not only did they show you the graph on the controller, then they had the next screen where it was literally like you were reading a book on how to play the game before you can jump into the game. And the worst part is, like a lot of those games, you have to read it.
Right. If you can't skip past it.
If you don't, you'll never figure these things out.
It's not intuitive in any way.
Nintendo is always the best at that. You know, if you make video games that will actually, like, if they want to study video games, they'll study level 1 of Super Mario Brothers, the first one, because it's like it's perfect. So if you're sitting there with a controller for the first time and you don't know what to do, you know, you just start pushing buttons. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you start to realize, oh, these directional buttons over here, you know, they'll move the little guy on the screen. And then if you try to go up, it doesn't do anything. If you try to go down, it doesn't do anything. If you go left, it doesn't do anything. And then if you go right, all of a sudden the screen starts moving.
Right.
And it's literally like those little bit, like without having to give you a manual, you just learn how to play it.
Yeah.
And then the Goomba, what's really fun, if you go a normal speed, the reason why they have that Goomba, the first one is just kind of there that you have to jump on. The second one, they have that line of like 5 bricks where it's like if you just try to jump over it normally, you're going to fail. More than likely, what's going to happen is you're going to jump and you're going to hit a brick and you'll land on that second Goomba.
Yep.
Which is there you learn
that you can break bricks.
You can break bricks and you can jump on things.
Yep.
You're a jump guy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have the two different kind of bricks.
Yep.
You have the question brick and then the one that actually looks like bricks. So then you learn that there are some bricks that you can, like some bricks you can break, and then some bricks actually will have something into it, hence a mushroom, you know, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, simple things like that. So, yes, it surprises me. It does not surprise me at all that the first level of Super Mario Odyssey, I would call it a masterpiece of 3D gaming.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to see, I'd love to see developers do that more, and just show what they can do, like as an intelligent developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like with some of the advanced moves and stuff too, that are a little more difficult to figure out. I can't tell if it's being intuitive or if it's just a time delay, but to me, it felt like when I was like struggling, whether for real or not, like I was trying to do a wall jump and I was being really sloppy about it.
Yeah.
Little video pops up in the corner. This is how you wall jump. So it's like, it's like, hey, you kind of suck. So we're going to give you a little hint here.
I remember that. And then
I couldn't tell if it was time delayed or if it just thought I was doing a really poor job.
If it had like some motion control that you could use, you didn't have to, but you could. Little video would pop up of this person with these gorgeous hands. I mean, this lady had them. They got the lady with the best looking hands, and they zoom in on the controls with her hands, and they show her doing the actual movement. That makes it. Remember playing the Wii, and they would try to show you how to play a mini game on Mario Party or something like that by showing a controller with an arrow pointing up. And you're like, what is that? Do I throw the controller? What does that mean? And then they've got just these tiny little videos that they literally show you a person doing what you're supposed to do. Genius. Yeah. Little things like that.
Yeah. I thought that they did a really good job just in so many aspects of the gameplay and teaching you how to play. And then like there are some spots that you need to use some advanced moves. Like you have to throw the cap, jump off the cap, and then do another leap after you do the jump.
Which,
like, there's really complex moves, but you don't have to. They don't stop you from the gameplay. You have to do those moves as you get better if you want to go get the extra like moons and things like that.
I noticed there was no moon where you had to do a very difficult jump or something like that to get. Like in this game, you can do some because of the mechanics with Cappy and be able to jump on him and things like that. And actually, if you read the manual, there's some complex things you can do. Like, they showed one jump, like the furthest in distance jump that you can do is actually like 24 times the length of a normal Mario jump. 24 times.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to me. And that's like you're throwing the cap and then you're lunging towards it and then you're bouncing off the cap. You have to do the spin thing, which lets you throw the cap again and you lunge towards it again. Like, that is, to me, that's really cool. And it's given me something that like I want to be able to do. Like I want to practice it enough where I can do it efficiently.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do anything crazy like that in order to get a power moon, which is important for the game.
Right.
There were little areas that you could get to that you had to do that. But they typically gave you something that that wasn't like important to finishing the game.
Right.
It was usually like a pack of like 200 coins or something like that.
Yeah. Or what they would do as an alternative is like you could get there just using your regular jumps and basic skills, but it was either really time consuming or just really hard to do using the basics. They wanted you to use the advanced moves. Yeah, I think overall it's just been such a great game. And
hey, whoa. Spoiler alert. It's a great game. That's not a spoiler.
So yeah, no, there's a spoiler. It's a great game. No, I've really enjoyed it so far, and I know it's going to be a game a lot like Breath of the Wild that,
big fan.
I just want to go and play something for half an hour. I know once I like finish the game out, mostly it's going to be something I can just play over and over and over again. And I think it's going to be one of those games where I want to start a new file and like play, which thankfully, if I read the menu system right, you can have multiple saves per user, which is something they got wrong on Zelda. You can only have the one game per user.
Well, hey, Super Mario Odyssey. I don't know if we'll have a podcast on it again, but we'll probably be mentioning it again here and there. I imagine.
Oh, for sure.
We still mentioned Breath of the Wild. And that's been what, 8 months now since that came out.
Man, has it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, March, right?
I'm ready to play it again.
I know it really is a good game.
Oh wow! I was jokingly saying that, but then I just reminisced about it, and I actually really want to play it again.
I just played it the other day.
You're too cool, Brandon. Well, great. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Brandon, where can they comment? And give them the social media spiel.
The general rundown here. I know I should just save this and tag it on the end of things. So yeah, we're everywhere these days. So like the last episode, you can find us on Google Play now. So definitely check us out there if you have an Android device or you just happen to use the Google Play Store. Just search for The Average Enthusiast. You can also find us on iTunes. Also just search for The Average Enthusiast. And then for our general social stuff, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and Instagram are our main platforms, but we also have stuff on YouTube as well. So definitely feel free to follow us in any of those mediums and feel free to comment. If you have any suggestions for a future show or something we can talk about, send us either a Facebook message or a tweet at us. So we look forward to hearing from you. And once again, thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a podcast you chose to listen to. Do you think you make good choices? Whether you do, you heard Brandon and Candy talk about things that are cool. We feel enthusiastic that you can be average too.
So dumb, Brandon.